Welcome to our tutorial on performing manual tracking in the Phantom Cine Analyzer. So the first thing I'm going to do is select and import a Cine file to do some analyses. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this glass impact. This is a toy gun that fires a BB pneumatically. All right, so here we have a BB traveling, hitting a piece of glass and then changing direction and then moving forward, right? So this is a really nice file to do some tracking on, okay? So the first thing I'm gonna do is whenever I do my manual tracking, I need to calibrate my file, my video file, based on a known length in the image. So for example, I know that this symbol from the leftmost tip to the rightmost tip is exactly 1/2 inch. So I can click on calibrate. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Control and I'm using my arrow keys to go ahead and narrow in on this position. Enter. And then I'm going to use the arrow keys to control over to the next position here, holding Control and clicking Enter. I'm going to go ahead and select inches here, and I know I'm exactly 0.5 inches at that point. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to track this projectile in time. So if I click on track, this will automatically pop up this track menu on the right-hand side. You'll see that we have auto tracking and manual tracking. For manual tracking, we can click manual. And we can add an object. So if I hold down Control, I can go ahead and find Control, the very leftmost edge of this BB, and click Enter. And I can go ahead and right-click, Edit Name, and I'll call it BB. All right, and it's pretty straightforward. What we're going to do is we're going to use the manual tracking tool to just collect a series of points. So if I just click on my keyboard the right arrow, I will have progressed 1 frame, and then I can go ahead and add another marker to my BB to the nearest pixel here, click Enter. All right, I can click right on my keyboard, hold Control, and now I can find that leftmost position on my BB, Enter, progress 1 frame, arrow to the right, hold Control, and then I can continue forward with this measurement. All right. And to save some time, I'm going to go ahead and progress a little bit further in time. And I'll go ahead and hold Control and add another marker here. Enter. And then I'll progress it further. Get my mouse roughly on the edge and then hold Control and then use my arrow keys. Press Enter, and then I'll get it right before it impacts the glass. Control, arrow key, leftmost position on the BB. I'll let it make it through the glass there, and then I will click the leftmost position on the BB again. Enter. All right, let it progress. I don't like that point, so I can go ahead and re-click, perfect. And then I'll do it one more time. All right, so essentially what I did is I added a series of points to this BB as it's traveling through time. And I have populated a displacement versus time graph in units of inches and then seconds here on the y-axis. I can even take a look at my displacement in the X position versus time. I can look at my speed here. So you can notice that it's traveling at a certain speed, and then clearly it goes through the glass and it starts to slow down in its speed. All right. And then we could also do things like acceleration and so on. All right. But this is a nice way to do manual tracking. Okay. Now you'll notice that the tracking was really subject to the user's ability to click the right position, okay? To eliminate that, you can go ahead and use the auto tracking tool, which is based on normalized cross correlation and subpixel analysis to avoid any sort of user error, okay? And you can go ahead and take a look at that in the following tutorial. Once you have the points tracked, you can see all of the information in the bottom right table, where reported is the frame number with the respective point and then a score. Since this is manual tracking, we don't report any scores. The score will be based on auto tracking when you're using normalized cross correlation, okay? And that's usually from a 0, which is no match at all, to a 1, which is a perfect match, okay? So you can also click on each point and investigate what it looks like on the live screen. You can right click on a point, okay? And you can remove a selected point. You can remove all points. You can remove all points after a specific frame, before a specific frame, okay? You can even double click on the point itself, and you can actually go ahead and type in precisely how you would like to change it. Okay. I also would like to show you how to add additional objects. Just by clicking Add Object, you can go ahead and carefully select as many manually tracked objects as you would like. And you'll notice that this list gets populated here. All right. And then you can name everything that you'd like to name, okay? So this would be called quad marker. This one could be called gun edge. This one could be called gun corner. And then this could be called iron sight. Okay, so here we have a series of things that we can mark. Now, if you wanted to go ahead and just work on the BB, you should select that BB and then click through the marks versus time. All right, if I click on the quad marker here, you'll see that I only have my initial point listed. And if I were to go ahead and click on another point, let's step forward in time a little bit and click on another point. Okay. You'll see that I just added a point to this table. All right, and same can be said for the rest of this. I can go ahead and populate these in time. All right. Now let's say we're happy with all of the points that we tracked, and we want to get this data out of the Cine Analyzer software. I can immediately click Export. And this will save a CSV file to the location of where the Cine file was imported from. Or you could right click on Export and toggle this auto-generate report name, okay? Depending on whether or not this is toggled, it will ask you where you would like your file to be saved, okay? Auto-generate checked on will dump it at the location of the Cine. Auto off will ask you. So if I click on Save here, desktop, I can go ahead and save a sample CSV file. All right. And I can go ahead and open that up. So let me go ahead and find that. I'm going to click on sample CSV. And what that's going to do is open up my CSV file. You'll notice the date, the Cine file name, the scale that was used, the units that were used, and all the other Cine metadata that is relevant to your measurement. You can also see all the objects that I tracked and the names, okay? And then most importantly down here below, you can get the frame information, the time from trigger column, okay? Time from 0, the X position, the Y position, and then all the other details from the other subjects, okay? So notice that we only have data populated for our BB marker, and that's because we did not add any other markers to the other objects, except for marker 1 here, which is that quad marker, where we added a point later in the frame here around 673. Okay, so this is a nice way for you to go ahead and immediately get your data out of the Cine Analyzer package, and then you can also do things like plotting in Excel or MATLAB or Python or whatever is your preference. Okay, and then here we have a really nice way of visualizing the graphics. So we can go ahead and click on this pop out, and we can go ahead and take a look at the displacement of these two markers versus time, the X displacement. There's not going to be much Y displacement, the speed, and so on. All right. And let's say, for example, you're looking at X displacement and you want to customize the way this graph looks. You can go to edit the figure options here. Okay. And then you can go to axes and change the X and Y axes here in this menu. Okay. You can click on curves. You can go ahead and change how the markers are presented in terms of color and in terms of shape and so on. Can all be changed through this menu here. Okay. So that's a quick tutorial on how to do manual tracking in Cine Analyzer. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you join us for our next tutorial on automatic tracking. Thanks.